They dreamed of getting married to their ex, and I got pregnant by someone else. Now the family is furious. I started dating my brother's best friend when I was 16, and we were together until high school graduation. After that, he proposed, but I turned him down, and all heck broke loose. My family urged me to reconsider, saying we could stay engaged for a long time, or at least promise to work things out. My relationship with my 36-year-old brother suffered, but with my 32-year-old sister, it completely fell apart. She was convinced my ex was my perfect match, and became unbearable. When she started dating my ex's brother, my ex was invited everywhere, even to family gatherings. I didn't say anything since he was still friends with my siblings. But then my sister began actively trying to push us back together. She set up blind dates, forced us to share a room during holidays, and made sure my ex was at every event. Eventually, I'd had enough and asked my parents to step in. They talked to my brother and sister, and after that, my ex stopped getting invites to family events. Things got a bit easier. My brother backed off, but my sister didn't. Everything changed when I studied abroad and met my future husband. He was from a different university but the same country, and we clicked instantly. It felt magical. After a year together, we got engaged, and my whole family was thrilled, except my sister. She kept saying I was just caught up in the honeymoon phase and would grow out of it. I didn't. After countless arguments, putting it mildly, and her relentless attempts to pair me with my ex, I gave her an ultimatum: one more stunt like that, and I'd cut off contact completely. Her response? She made me a bridesmaid at her wedding, and demanded I spend all my time with her bridal party, which included my ex. Worse, she paired her friend with my husband for the event. We only found out at the wedding when this woman started flirting with him. My sister claimed that since we weren't married yet, he was fair game. I left the celebration. The next day, I told my parents and brother I wouldn't force them to pick sides, but I was done with my sister. If they tried to reconcile us, I'd cut ties with them too. My mom was devastated and tried to smooth things over, but my dad and brother promised to respect my choice. For the last 6 years, I haven't spoken or texted with my sister, except for 2 times when my mom tried to patch things up. My sister attempted to reconnect through gifts and emotional outbursts, but I ignored her. At family gatherings, I acted like she didn't exist. At first, she made snarky comments and tried to stir up drama, but since no one backed her, she eventually gave up. The only time she truly lost it was when she learned she was invited to my wedding, but wouldn't help plan it. My brother feels guilty for not stepping in sooner, and his friendship with my ex has noticeably cooled. They still talk, but it's not the same. The issue flared up again a few weeks ago at my mom's birthday party when I announced I'm pregnant. It's not my parents' first grandchild, but it's their first granddaughter, and everyone was overjoyed, except my sister. My mom noticed and invited me over for tea. My gut told me not to go, but I wanted to stay hopeful. When I arrived, I saw my sister's car. Inside were my sister, her husband, my ex, and his mom. They claimed my childish grudges had gone too far. My ex said he was just trying to be romantic back then, and I didn't appreciate it. His mom insisted I was hurting my sister for no reason, and since she'd apologized, I had to forgive her. Meanwhile, my mom read a letter aloud about how much it pained her that her daughters weren't speaking. She admitted my sister was wrong, but swore she meant well. Then my sister read her own letter, broke down crying, and echoed everyone else's arguments. I stayed silent, texting my husband, dad, and brother. When my brother arrived, he was furious, angrier than I'd ever seen him. He grabbed my things and told everyone he was disappointed and disgusted with them. We went outside to his car, waiting for my dad and husband. By then, I was sobbing, and my brother kept apologizing. I don't know what happened in the house after we left, but I emailed everyone except my mom with my lawyer's contact info, stating I didn't want them contacting me again, or I'd involve the police. No one has reached out since. My dad says my mom and sister are hysterical, claiming they just wanted to fix things and hoped my sister could be involved in my child's life, maybe even be the godmother. Right now, my dad's staying with my brother, and they fully support me, but some family members and mutual friends aren't on my side. A few even called, worried about my sister, saying she's telling people my husband is keeping me from my family. I hate airing personal drama publicly, but this time, I wrote a detailed Facebook post explaining everything. The comments are tearing into my sister, her husband, and my ex, though that wasn't my main goal. I think they brought it on themselves. My mom's heartbroken, and I feel for her, but not enough to forget how awful I felt after that last visit. We've agreed to talk in a few days, but I set strict conditions for any future contact: mandatory family therapy, clear boundaries, no sharing my info with my sister, and separate holidays. Most importantly, if she pulls anything like this again, I'm done for good. My mom thinks it's too harsh but agreed. She assumed I'd immediately share baby updates and everything would be fine, but I told her it's a long process, and she'll need to prove she's changed. My dad and brother have completely cut off contact with my sister and keep apologizing for not stepping in sooner. We've already forgiven them because they've recognized the situation and learned from it. My husband supports every decision I make, but my mother-in-law isn't sure if I should fully cut my mom off from seeing my daughter. She says it's ultimately my call, and I'm torn about what to do with my mom. The comments I've seen are baffling. What's their logic? They say that since I'm pregnant, I should stop playing happy family with my husband and realize my destiny is with my ex. As for my child, would my ex and his family even accept her? My sister claims she's no longer trying to push me back with my ex, but insists I have no right to stop her from being an aunt. She thinks I'm a bad sister because I'm close with my husband's sisters, who are amazing people. Of course I don't believe her. Right now, my biggest issue is figuring out what to do with my mom. Could she have been your best friend without pushing you toward your ex? I'd love to answer that, but I have no clue how her mind works. My husband thinks she's mentally unwell, and the creepiest, most ridiculous thing about my ex is that he still keeps the mixtape CDs I made for him when we were dating. Those are like 20 years old, and he's still holding on to them. You need to realize your mom supports all this. It's a big reason why your sister keeps acting this way. She knows mom thinks it's okay. This really upsets me because my mom was always so kind to my husband, but now I'm questioning their entire relationship. Update 1, 16 hours later. I want to add some context. My ex and I broke up when I was 18. He's 37 now. The reason for the split was that I didn't want to get married or engaged. My sister's obsession comes from her fixation on both of us marrying brothers and being best friends. My mom always seemed so warm toward my husband, but now I'm starting to think it was just a front, and that hurts. After our breakup, my ex had other relationships and has 2 kids, but he never married their mom. My sister finds this romantic, claiming he only ever wanted to marry me. It's worth noting that his obsessive behavior wasn't just toward me. Rumor has it he acted the same way with his kid's mom. But now he's fixated on me again, because my sister's egging him on. She says she needs his help to win me back and be a good aunt to my child. My brother started distancing himself from my ex when I told my parents I was uncomfortable around him. At the time, I was living far away for school but came home for breaks. My brother went out of his way to make my husband feel welcome in the family, which strained his friendship with my ex even more. My ex felt betrayed. Now, my husband is one of my brother's closest friends, and he only tolerates my ex for my sister's son, his nephew, out of politeness. Both my parents seem to understand my need to distance myself from my ex, but it turns out only my dad was truly on my side that awful day. My mom told him she was making my favorite tea and desserts and that he should leave so we could have quality time together. My dad went to his brother's, thinking it was a sweet gesture. Now he's furious. My husband tried hard to connect with my sister at first, but now he ignores her and thinks she has mental health issues. We don't know if that's true, but her behavior is inexcusable either way. They invited my ex and his mom because they thought it would help me sort out my issues with my sister, or at least that's their official story. To address some questions, we're not Indian, not particularly religious, and my husband and I are the same race. There's no financial gap between my ex and my husband. If anything, my husband's better off. Finally, my sister-in-law, my brother's wife, and my husband's sisters are livid about this whole mess. My brother and his wife are considering cutting off my mom entirely, and for now won't let her see their kids. The more I read your comments, the more I realize I might need to fully cut contact with my mom for my child's safety. It hurts my husband to think all her kind gestures toward him might have been fake, but he's even angrier that she made me cry and question if I'm a good person. I know there are more family talks about my mom ahead, but I'm definitely pursuing a restraining order against my sister and ex. Half update, I spoke with my mom, but she keeps insisting I'm a bad person and says she'll fight for her right to see my child as a grandmother, or even seek custody. I panicked because we'd already sent her a formal letter about this. My dad has moved out for good, telling her he won't support her terrorizing her own daughter. My brother and his wife have also decided to cut her off completely. I know this might seem drastic to outsiders, but I don't think I've fully conveyed how desperate I felt after that incident at my mom's. After everything, my husband told my mom and sister they need to seriously think about what matters to them and learn to be kind and empathetic. But he's not raising our child in a toxic environment. Reason number 1 million why I love him. He's heartbroken over my mom's possible pretense, but firm that she gets nothing more from him. That's the most revenge we'll allow ourselves. My dad and brother keep apologizing for their role in all this. My dad still can't believe it's gone this far. It feels surreal to him, but they fully support me and are ready to help with any absurd fight my mom or sister might start. Update 2. 1 week later. I hope this is the final update. Thank you all for your kind words and support. My life feels both wonderful and awful right now, but I'm trying to stay positive. My brother and his wife talked to their kids, explaining that their grandma is unwell, and tried to hurt their aunt and baby cousin. They said she won't be part of their lives anymore, but that doesn't mean she doesn't love them. It was a tough conversation, but the kids are smart. They were also told their other aunt, my sister, won't be around either. Honestly, they don't care because they never liked her, not because of me, but because she wasn't great with them. When my mom found out, she lost it, claiming she has rights and will fight to see her grandkids. My dad's looking for a permanent place, but is staying with us until January, mostly because my brother's mother-in-law is visiting then, and we have space. He's devastated and has already contacted divorce lawyers, transferred bank accounts, and more. My mom's bombarding him with texts, letters, and calls, but he's not responding. His lawyer advised against blocking her for now. He briefly considered forgiving her, but a couple of days after my last post, my blood pressure spiked because my mom and sister showed up at my house. My sister had never been to my place before. My mom knew I didn't want to see her, but apparently she didn't care. The housekeeper let them in since she knows my mom well, and I hadn't had a chance to tell her my mom's no longer welcome. I came home, saw their car, and didn't go inside. I immediately called all my relatives and my husband's sister, who was closest. She came over and told my mom and sister to leave, or I'd call the police for trespassing. They left, but I was so stressed out that we went to the doctor. He warned that this kind of strain could harm the baby. My dad, brother, uncle, and husband went to my mom's house and took everything they could. My husband said my sister was there, yelling at him, accusing him of ruining her family. My dad bluntly told my mom and sister that their actions nearly hurt my child and that he's done with them for good. My sister keeps texting my brother, begging for help, but he doesn't respond. It breaks my heart for my nephew, who's losing so many relatives because of his mom's wild ideas. But it is what it is. As for my mom's talk about grandparent rights and custody, my lawyer sent her a letter stating that her actions have harmed my health and my baby. If she keeps harassing me, it'll escalate to a formal lawsuit. My brother also sent her a legal notice citing her actions against me. Both my mom and sister refused family therapy. Maybe they do have mental health issues, but it's clear now they've been in this together for a long time. Right now, I'm focused on spending the holidays with my family, taking care of my health, and going to therapy. Update 3. 4 months later. Hello, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for your comments, messages, and advice. They made us even more cautious than we already were, and it turns out for good reason. Some of you asked about the baby's gender. I announced it after 20 weeks because we'd had a painful loss before. We were about to share the gender last time when it happened, so we waited to feel safe and certain. Naively, we thought it'd be special for my mom too. You were right. After posting, I handed my phone to my husband, and he spent days reading your messages, comments, and tips. We searched the house and found nothing but still felt unsafe, so we moved to a hotel with my dad. Then we discovered a tracker on our dog's fleece vest. Our tiny pup gets cold easily, so he wears it often. I'd never have thought to check it. My dad found the tracker while walking him near the hotel. That's when my sister approached him, asking about me and how to fix things. I was furious, so we decided to relocate. Thankfully, we could afford it. We're renting a new place now and leasing our old house so it doesn't sit empty. I loved that house, but now it feels tainted, just like my parents' home. My brother, husband, dad, sister-in-law, and even my husband's family changed their phone numbers, got new devices, and notified employers, friends, and the police. We started individual and family therapy. My dad and brother feel intense guilt, even though I've forgiven them, but we're working through it together. My mom and sister keep insisting they've done nothing wrong and refuse therapy. My dad rewrote his will, leaving my sister's son a trust fund and part of the inheritance, but my sister gets only a token amount. To him, she's basically gone. I feel bad for her, but I'm focusing on my baby. I've given birth, and it's truly a blessing. It's not the experience I imagined without my mom there, but so many friends and relatives have surprised me with their support. We got so cautious that we tested people we weren't sure about, saying I was about to give birth. It worked perfectly. We found out who was still leaking info to my mom and sister, and cut them off immediately. Others understood when we explained why. My ex, now nicknamed Bates by my friends, after Norman Bates from Psycho, took it further. He's telling people the baby's his, claiming we had a passionate affair because my love for him never faded. No one believes him anymore, but it was the last straw for my husband. He contacted Bates's employer and shared the whole story. They suspended him pending an internal investigation, and I'm almost certain he'll be fired since they keep asking us questions and seem very concerned. My mom's been trying to find us, but everyone who knows where we are has cut her off. My dad's lawyer sent her a letter saying that due to her unstable behavior, all communication will go through attorneys only. I'm worried about my dad being alone, but he assures me he's fine and that I'm not to blame. Still, it's hard. On the bright side, he's become the world's best nanny, chef, and diaper changer. My nephews, as always, bring joy and warmth to the family. My dad even met with my sister's son. This happened because she started recording videos, threatening to harm herself if my husband didn't stop keeping her from the family. My dad told her he'd meet her son, but if the threats continued, he'd go to the police. That seemed to stop her. Lastly, someone suggested I gave Bates false hope. That's far from the truth. For years I felt uncomfortable, hoping he'd leave me alone. After I made my stance clear and met my husband, I spent years fighting my sister, who kept dragging him back into my life. I still love my mom and sister, but I'm choosing a healthy life for myself and my family over this chaos. As strange as it sounds, this ordeal has shown me so much loyalty, love, and support. I'm almost glad it happened. I hope this wasn't too jumbled. Hugs to you all. Update 4, 3 months later. We've moved into a new house, and my dad settled in the guest cottage. After lots of discussions, both in therapy and out, we decided living close is good for us all, but everyone needs their own space. We're still renting out the old house, and we'll figure out what to do with it later. My dad gathers all the grandkids about 3 times a week, but he meets my sister's son separately because she won't let him take the boy unless she knows where he lives. It makes sense, but given how unhinged she is, we don't want her near us. My mom complained to lawyers that it's unfair my dad sees all the grandkids while she doesn't, but there's nothing she can do. About a month ago, my dad confessed something to me. He's been paying for my nephew's, my sister's son, schooling and nanny, which is why she still lets him see the boy. He felt guilty for hiding it and didn't want to keep secrets. I reassured him he did nothing wrong, and told him not to beat himself up. On Mother's Day, my dad got an email, with a link to an Instagram account, hosting a sappy melodramatic video about how the family turned its back on poor mom, and how my sister's a saint for sticking by her. It was so pathetic and absurd that I just passed it to the lawyer. In May, my dad officially filed for divorce. The process is ongoing, and my mom insists he's wrong, but he's made up his mind. On Father's Day, my brother and husband threw him a celebration, and they had a great time. My sister posted a ton that day, but we blocked her in advance so my dad wouldn't see it and could enjoy the holiday. They also set up a camping adventure for the kids, rented a hotel room, put a tent in the middle for the older ones, and a little teepee for the baby. Honestly, having my child is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Seeing my husband be the amazing dad I always knew he'd be makes me incredibly happy. Yes, caring for a baby is exhausting, but with so much support, I feel endlessly grateful. I know I have reliable people by my side. Now, my sister-in-law and I keep a shared calendar to plan age-appropriate activities for the kids. We teach them they don't have to spend time with anyone they don't like, and their opinions matter. Right now, they're all obsessed with the baby, calling themselves her protectors. We host family get-togethers, brunches, and more. Honestly, family events are a joy now, not a source of stress, because my sister's no longer sucking the positivity out of the room. I know that sounds harsh, but she really did. My mother-in-law loves spending time with the baby and stays in our guest room about once a week. She politely asked if it was okay and made it clear she wouldn't take the baby overnight. I feel comfortable with her. She respects and listens to me. Sometimes I break down crying because I miss my mom, or at least the mom I thought I had, not the one who called me a terrible mother and a cruel woman. My therapist says healing is a marathon, not a sprint, and I need to focus on the good. Now for the good news. Bates got fired. Not just fired, his reputation in the industry is obliterated on a nuclear level. The same happened to his brother, but since his job doesn't hinge on reputation as much, he's apparently still employed. Bates sent me a 12-page letter. My husband's so fed up that he professionally dismantled him since he couldn't do anything else. I didn't read it, my lawyer did and gave me a summary. I also heard through mutual friends. No, I didn't ask, people just told me because everyone knows he's been harassing me, that the mother of his kids moved away, and he didn't care at all. He said it was for the best. This guy doesn't even care about his own children but wants to play daddy to mine. Sadly, he won't end up on the streets. His mom took him back into her house, so he's unlikely to learn anything. Comment response. I'm so glad you've kept good relationships with parts of your family despite all this, but I'm a bit unclear on the firing. I get that he's an awful person, but did he do something tied to his job? My reply. I don't want to reveal his field, but it's a tight-knit industry where a ruined reputation means your career's over. Before this, he was seen as a nice but slightly aloof feminist and single dad. He even told colleagues we dated way longer than we actually did. Update 2 years later. Hey everyone, it's been a while. I have some updates, but first thank you for all the comments and messages. Every time I check this account, I'm met with mostly positivity, and I really appreciate it. I'm not sure if anyone will read this, but for those waiting for news, it's mostly good. My parents are officially divorced after tons of drama and tantrums from my mom. She kept the house and got a one-time payout, but that's it. My dad's like a new man, and we're all thrilled for him. When this mess started, we didn't fire our housekeeper. She's worked for my husband's family for decades, and I was worried my family's chaos would leave her jobless. My dad talked to her and said she was getting paid leave while we found a new house, and her job would be waiting if she wanted to return. She and her family were overjoyed. Turns out her sister owns a nail salon, and now my dad's dating her. She's a lovely woman with grown kids, so she gets our complicated family dynamics. My dad was clear he's not remarrying or moving in, and she's fine with that. She values her independence. When my mom heard, she nearly had a stroke, claiming it's his midlife crisis, and he's stooped to being a sugar daddy. I only know this secondhand since I don't talk to her, but from what I hear, she's struggling. She's always been terrible with money, used to my dad reining in her wild spending. Now that he's gone, she's in trouble. My sister's not doing great either since my dad stopped supporting her financially. He was willing to keep helping for my nephew's sake, but things spiraled. My nephew started calling my child a bastard, saying her dad's not real, calling other nephews crazy, and at one birthday party he pushed one of my husband's nephews, saying they're not real cousins. The kids were shocked and told the adults right away. My dad talked him, but he kept repeating the same things. When my dad tried talking to my sister, she said she couldn't do anything because kids always tell the truth. My dad told her until things change, he's cutting contact. She threw a fit but doubled down. She's too stubborn to admit what she's done. Now my nephew's in public school because according to her it's my husband's fault for convincing my dad to cut them off.
Bates is still unemployed.
I was vague before, but he worked in a field tied to supporting vulnerable women and partly related to stalking. Ironic, right? That's why he was fired. His organization didn't want the scandal tanking their reputation. Since then, he's sent me 2 more long, handwritten rambling letters. Since he only has my lawyer's address, guess who gets to read and file this nonsense? I love my lawyer. He's a hero. Other than that, there haven't been major issues with him, except for one incident. I was at a store, and a random woman asked if my child was Bates's son. I was stunned. When I asked why she'd think that, she said he has a photo of us on his profile, and that I should be ashamed for ruining such a good man's life. Apparently, he's still pushing the story that my kid's his and I was madly in love with him. The craziest part, she mentioned a photo that was never public. It was only sent in a family chat. I told my husband, and he was livid but stayed calm. We decided to find the leak. Turns out, my dad's 2 sisters were feeding info to my mom. My dad was disappointed but didn't hesitate to cut them off completely. They're still begging him to talk, but he's done. My brother and his family are doing great. We see each other often and even took family trips since the last update. They still don't speak to my mom or sister. Turns out, my sister-in-law's thrilled about it. She was never a fan of my mom, but kept the peace before. My husband's family is wonderful. We even let my mother-in-law take the baby overnight sometimes. When all her grandkids are under one roof, they're ecstatic. She used to be a flight attendant, so their favorite game is airplane. We know the baby's safe with her, so we don't worry. She had to lock down her social media because my mom kept stalking her. I'm sure she's jealous, but she brought this on herself. My husband remains my rock, keeping me grounded when little problems pop up. We've started talking about whether we want another child or maybe to adopt. We haven't decided yet, but we're happy to even have these conversations. I still miss my mom sometimes. I cry when I realize there are big moments I can't share with her anymore. But she's a toxic person, and my family's safety comes first. Comment question: can Bates demand a paternity test, and can we sue over the photo? My answer: we already did a paternity test. Not with Bates, but with my husband. There was never any doubt, but our lawyer suggested it in case Bates tries to make something up. The photo incident happened a while ago, and we got it removed from his Facebook. I haven't taken further action because I don't want to deal with him again. This story's finally over. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. Comment response: I totally agree with you, but I had some doubts about whether it was right for your dad to cut off his sisters. While reading, I kept circling back to that. But then, what kind of relationship did they have? Probably just group chat nonsense, so maybe they weren't that close anyway. Thanks for sharing this story. Check out our last video linked here, and good luck.